How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be doing a trade recap from the trades that I took on May 26th. I traded Tesla and GME, and as a matter of fact, off the open, I was red, and then I was able to keep composure, make sure to still manage risk properly, and ended up getting back green on the day and then calling it. I took a decent amount of trades, borderline over trading. One of them was pretty sloppy, and that's why I got in the hole early, and then lucky enough I was able to crawl my way out. It's nice to have every single day be super clean, nice green, but that's not always the case, especially from a scalping perspective. This is the reality of it, so this is why I feel like going over the trades today will make for a good video. So now let's take a top-down approach like I always do, starting with the technicals on SPY, the QQQ, then Tesla and GME. So starting with the SPY. So it held this 50 SMA a handful of days ago. It has reclaimed the short-term moving averages, and it's consolidating above the short-term moving averages, knowing that all-time high is not that far away. So the main levels that I was watching on SPY, just to get a gauge for which way we might go, is the same that I always talk about. Prior day's high, 420.71. If it gets above that, it does look like it's on its way to all-time highs. And then if there is any weakness in the market, prior day's low, 417.62. Takes that out, it does look like there is a little bit room to the downside to the short-term moving averages. Now getting into the Qs, double bottom right around 316, very big move, got back above all the short-term moving averages, and now it is consolidating above them, a little bit farther off all-time highs, but still showing some short-term strength. The levels that I was watching on these, also in unison with SPY, is prior day's high, 334.81, gets above that, shows that buyers are in control, and if there was any weakness in the market, prior day's low, 331.76, and very similar to the SPY, it does look like there was some downside room to the short-term moving averages if it decided to pull back. And now getting into Tesla, so the daily chart, it finally found some support right around 560 to 580, had a really nice green candle, a day one move on the 24th, and then the day after, it had an inside day. So it looked pretty good if this cleared this 614. It did look like there was some room to the upside right around the 20 SMA. So the main levels that I was watching was prior day's high, which was 614. Prior day's low, I always put it just in case if it gets there, even though I did not feel like it was going to today, 595.71. Pre-market high at 610 and pre-market low at 606.30. And now GME, and the reason this was on my list is just pure momentum. So yesterday I had a big day one move out of a long period of consolidation. I was really hoping that this could open somewhere close to prior day's high. I would have felt better about trading it around that area, but still had a big gap up showing a lot of momentum. So even though this can be a little crazy, I did want to have it up on watch. So the main levels of interest were prior day's high, 217.11. It was well above that, so just knowing that buyers are clearly in control. And then the next level that I was also looking at was pre-market high, 237.79. Okay, now getting into the Tesla trades. So off the open, this price action was pretty ugly. It wasn't clean at all. So I made sure to patiently wait. And unfortunately, I think I did an okay job at the first trade, getting out quick when it didn't go my way. But there was a much better entry. So when this thing finally got below VWAP, it had an opportunity to push back towards high of day right here. And then when it started to roll over, that was an indication of some weakness. And I think this was the actual trade right off the open within the first 15 minutes, right around 605, anticipating the low of day break, knowing that it tried to get back above VWAP and failed. So if anybody chased it up here, I would think low of day would probably be their stop. And then it flushed low a day and it had a very nice move lower. And then of course, when it starts to speed up, that's where I take my profits. I missed that trade. So what I was looking for was a possible flag after the fact. And that's exactly what happened. So big move lower, two green candles below the 9 EMA, started to roll over again. My entry was not great. Had I been a little bit quicker, I think I could have got in above 603. I got in just below it. Got a very quick move, did not move that much. The premiums did not have that big of a spike, and then instantly reversed against me, and then I took a quick loss once it got right back to the 9 EMA because I did not want to be involved in some sort of squeeze higher, and I just took that quick hit and moved on. So even though it was unfortunate, I think I did an okay job because the setup looked all right. It was a nice clean flag pattern, and then the moment it started to go against me pretty quick, I bailed. And I got out at an all right price. I probably could have gotten out a little bit quicker, but still I avoided a much further push, which would have totally drained those options. And had I got out towards the high of this spike, the loss would have been much bigger. And now to get into the next trade on Tesla. So unfortunately, I do see a very quick flag pattern that I missed. I just kind of hesitated, and unfortunately, I missed a pretty nice move. The reason why I think that this is an all right flag that I didn't take advantage of is because it took out pre-market high. It had a short period of consolidation. This is much more of a very quick flag pattern, and I think the reason I hesitated is because I've noticed that sometimes those quick flags can pull in pretty quick. I wanted to see a couple more minutes of consolidation. Unfortunately, I didn't get that, but once it took out the high of the flag, had a very nice move, and then of course, once it starts to speed up, that's usually where I'm out of the trade. So noticing that Tesla is now in a clear trend, especially after it spent some time under VWAP. So if there's anybody short, just on a shorter term perspective, they're going to start to get squeezed out. So this is where I ended up eventually taking the trade. So nice period of consolidation above the 9 EMA, starting to form a nice flag pattern. Had a couple more minutes of consolidation compared to this flag. I ended up getting long. And then once it broke that flag high, also knowing that there was a technical level above, prior day's high at 614. It broke that, started to speed up, got into right around 616, and then when it started to show some weakness and pull back, I ended up getting out of the trade for a nice win. And here's the next trade, and the reason why I don't like this is because it was a very quick flag, similar to the one down here, so I was hesitant to take the trade here, but I took it all the way up here, which is way far away from VWAP, so that's just a no-no. I should have let this consolidate for a little bit more time before considering taking the trade. I went for it. I took the 616, anticipating the break, got a very quick move, and then the moment it started to pull in, I just bailed on it. So even though it didn't work and I was willing to give it a shot, I think I did a good job at getting out fast the moment that it reversed. And here's the next setup. So it's a little bit of a steep flag pattern, had a push, and it pulled back a little bit, but it still held above the short-term moving averages. And then when buyers stepped back in and it held prior day's high, I ended up getting long right around 616. I think I could have done a better job. Maybe get long 615, 615.50, just trying to get a little bit more of an aggressive entry. Got the 616 entry, ended up getting a very quick move, and then once it pulled back, just to be careful, I ended up getting out of that one for a very small win. And here's the final trade I took on Tesla. So just in a very strong uptrend, pulled back, nice tight period of consolidation, reclaimed the short-term moving averages. And then the moment this candle started to show some buying, I ended up getting long just before 618, had a quick push, pulled back to the 9 EMA, still right around my entry. And then the moment that this came back towards high of day, popped above it and then pulled back in, I took it for a very quick win. So at this point, I started to realize that Tesla was starting to get a little extended on the intraday, so I didn't think that the price action was going to be that clean. Therefore, I left it alone after this. And now let's get into GME. So off the open, this was super volatile. The first 1 minute candle was red. It actually did a 1 minute opening range break. That's a little too risky for me, and had an insane move, took out pre-market high, and then instantly gave it all back. This dipped below VWAP and double bottomed right around 226. And then when it got back above VWAP, I was thinking, as far as other players and where they're positioned, if there's anybody who shorted below VWAP thinking that this had to go lower, they're now going to start to feel some pain. So here is where I ended up getting long. And the reason why I don't like this looking back at it is it was less of a pattern and more just taking a trade through resistance. So seeing that it had some trouble right around this 237, I figured if it could get through that, maybe this could get to high of day. So I kind of abandoned the rules of waiting for some sort of clean pattern, and this instantly pulled in pretty hard on me. I should have got out right around 235, 234, and when this lost VWAP, I ended up getting out, and I took a decent sized loss, which totally sucked, and it didn't feel good, but hey, it happens sometimes. So it ended up consolidating below VWAP and then reclaimed it again, and then got back towards this 237, 238, and then I ended up taking this, and I think even though the entry was not amazing, it was all right because there was at least some sort of quick flag pattern. Rather than just chasing two green candles in a row like I did here, there was at least a very short period of consolidation, and then when it broke that 238, I ended up getting long. I actually took options on this trade, and then it had a pretty insane push, and then once it started to pull in, I ended up taking quick profits because I did not like this huge wick. When it got over high a day and got back below it, sometimes that can be a turning point, almost like a blow off top. So I ended up just getting out the moment I saw some weakness. And now to show all the executions. So ended up making $614 on the 615 calls, $292 on the GME 240 calls, $98 on Tesla 620 calls, $50 on the 617.50 calls. And then this short trade I took on Tesla, I actually think the out was all right. I went for it. I gave it a chance. I got out when it didn't go quick. And I think the loss overall is not that bad. The improvement that I could have made was on the GME long. When it stuffed and it came in pretty hard, I believe that this could have been half the amount that it is. So rather than this loss being minus 626, I truly believe had I just been a little bit better and quicker to get out, this really could have been $300 to $400. So I definitely could have done better, but to be honest, overall, I'm not that upset on the day because I did start in the hole and I didn't do anything crazy. I took good setups after the fact and I was able to get out of that hole and then be slightly green on the day and actually listen to my rule that if I go from red to green and I can tell already that I'm not trading that great, just walk away. And that's exactly what I did. And I finished the day up 135. And hey, it's not super exciting, but I can't complain about being green. So that was the trade recap on all the trades that I took on Tesla, GME, overtraded a little bit, never got into too much trouble, and ended the day okay. Appreciate you watching the video. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.